It's time to play the game. Triple H played the game in the press conference in Backlash France, and it didn't go down too well with a lot of nerds out there. Welcome back to Fog Wrestling. No, also didn't go down too well. Our low rating of Backlash here. If you think that pay-per-view was any good, then I need to question your eyesight. But Triple H's eyesight was bang on the money because he was asked about reports from Fightful.com and Pwinsider that Drew Gulak was released from WWE. So let's see what the game had to say. This was Triple H's response. He stuck his big nose in and he whipped out a few lines. Not those sort of lines, but, you know, verbal lines. He says, first of all, if you're going to cite news sources, pick good ones. That's where I would start. Credible ones, really. Maybe. We release talent all the time. The NFL releases 400 to 500 people a year, players a year. We release talent all of the time. It's part of what we do. You can't just hire people, bring them in, keep hiring people, and just keep bringing them in. So an unfortunate part of the job is talent getting released. Can I say that he was released? He was not released. His contract was not renewed. Triple H did refuse to comment on Ronda Rousey's claim about Gulak, and that was his quote, courtesy of WrestleSoon. Now, a lot of people, right, out here can pretend to cry about Drew Gulak being released, right? But you know what? I'll take Triple H at face value. If they just didn't want to re-sign Drew Gulak and his contract expired, then that's fair enough. We're not talking about The Rock here. We're not talking about The Undertaker. We're not talking about Stone Cold Steve Austin. We're talking about Drew Gulak, a jobber. Like, he was on NXT after being on the main roster for a decent period. The guy had no future. Is it unfortunate timing? You could argue. Yes, I think you could definitely argue that because at the end of the day, it looks like he has been released due to Ronda Rousey. But let's not pretend that this guy, Drew Gulak, is a megastar, doesn't deserve to be released. You know, he's not the first name I would release from the company. But yeah, he definitely should be on the list. Definitely should be on the list. But a lot of people have not took it well. You've got Corey Brennan, Sean Ross, both of Fightful.com. They're crying. Triple H said. So he's saying that Drew Gulak is still actually technically still under WWE contract at the moment. But the problem, apparently, there's issues going down behind the scenes in NXT, and according to Wrestle Purists, several NXT talent made claims that Drew Gulak was a bully who would often target injuries during matches with talent that were recovering from minor injuries at the time. One talent claimed that during a match with Gulak, he purposely dislocated a previously dislocated finger, while another claimed that Gulak would intimidate talent into not reporting the incidents. There was an incident during an NXT taping last year where Gulak verbally remanded by Shawn Michaels and NXT coaches for intentionally spiking an opponent during a match. One NXT talent who worked with Gulak noted that he was odd in the sense he would often test talent to see if they would react to his bully. End of quote. Right, you know what? See, back in the day when wrestling was good, there was a lot of this bullying shit going on. There was a lot of this older guys, you know, leaving their mark, so to speak, on the younger ones, which sounds a bit dodgy, but I don't mean it in that sense. Of course, what it is, it's almost like in a way they're testing them, see if they're ready. Now, what I would say is wrestling has nosedive off a cliff since then. So if Drew Gulak's the guy that's trying to test these younger guys, that's that's not quite Bob Holly, is it? That's really not quite Bob Holly. That's not an Eddie Guerrero. That's not a Chris Benoit. That's not any of them. So yeah, Drew Gulak, the bully. Does it change the fact that what he did to Ronda Rousey, there's nothing in that? No, I don't think he was released due to what happened with Ronda Rousey. He's probably just not been renewed, his contract, because he sucks. Like, why are Fightful.com and these other credible sites, according to themselves, even though Triple H buried them, pretending? But Triple H is within his right to bury these guys. At the end of the day, if they're claiming that he's been released by WWE, but the reality is that he's not actually out of contract yet, but when it runs out very soon, he will be gone. The Triple H is definitely well within his means to start burying these bastards. Anyway, the big nose has spoke.